the Nigerian economy. I think it was when I was telling, this ask is how you calm down. When I was trying to explain that why you need to be US literate. Well, I don't know if you were on that episode. Why I said you must be US literate. And when I was explaining that, the whole system is one global economy, of which Nigeria is just one part. Ghana is one part. It's a global economy, and that global economy was created by the United States of America. So there are ways that we need to be literate about that system that we are playing in, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not. All right, but that's the side. Point is that this system of capitalism that we are participating in, this system of economy, this economic system, this economic and political system, we did not create it. All right, we did not create it. It was created by the Americans. Okay. And to understand this system, even though you are far away in Nigeria, you've got to go back to the founding fathers of that system and how they thought. Adam Smith, the person who wrote Wealth of Nations. If you read Wealth of Nations, you'll understand why there are poor people in Nigeria. It's because they have not updated their wealth curriculum to that of the colonizers, all right? The people who have brought in the new system. And so you must learn what the new system is. So we've got to revert back to our economics textbooks, okay? So now, the people who wrote those economics textbooks and those who designed this whole system of wealth, whether it's national wealth, institutional wealth, or individual wealth, those who wrote the books, they were thinking about money and about wealth. And they were like, how do we build wealth, all right? And so they said that they opined that in order to build wealth, well, I guess that you have to be able to trade, right? You've got to be able to trade something of value for money. And you've got to be able to do it multiple times over in order to become really, really wealthy. Now, you got to listen, like those who created this civilization, right? They're not trying to make money to just eat and feed their families. No. We're talking about the most elite-minded people, physically and spiritually. Those who that designed this version of our civilization, they're thinking of creating a kind of wealth that can fund wars. We're talking about the Rothschilds here, right? People who don't try to feed their family and be content. No, they want to have institutional money. They want to be able to lend to nations. You know, when according to the Bible, where they say, oh, you shall lend to nations. This is what you get literally. They want people to lend to nations. Go look up the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, when there's a war happening, Rothschilds will fund both sides of the war. And that's how they themselves exploited their wealth. So when you're thinking of wealth, they had to become scientific, very precise. It's not like the way the poor man thinks about wealth. The poor man generally has very low aspirations. He just wants relief. All right, he just wants relief. All right, and when he gets relief, he's a very different mind. I think I recommend the book before I forget. It just came back to me right now because a lot of this work you have to do is mindset work as well. All right, mindset work. One book that I know maybe I recommended the book, but I'm also recommending it to you is this book for those of you who need to make certain identity shifts up here. Okay, because it's not just about do this, do that. Sometimes your old identity will rebel against the changes that you're making. All right, so there's this book that would really help. Don't read the book, study the book. Do your best to study the book. If you came up poor in Nigeria or lower middle class, you cannot come up unscathed. Some damage has been done to your psyche, but you don't know it yet. All right? These books can help. The book is called Psycho-Cybernetics. Psycho-Cybernetics. I can't remember the name of the author. I think it's Maxwell Maltz, I think. But I will look it up and be sure of the author's name and send it to you in the afterthoughts that I normally send after night school. All right? Anybody who is trying to reinvent themselves and needs to be able to win the inner game of that reinvention, please read that book. All right? There's another book that I used to recommend. I still recommend it. It's a very good book, but it's a bit soft and it's more like a softer form of therapy. And I think women will appreciate the book more than men. You know, I think I'm the only man that I know of that recommended the book. Mostly women that like the book. Men don't really connect much to the book, but I love the book. It's called The Mountain Is You. The Mountain Is You by I think it's something Weist. Is it Victoria Weist? I know her surname is Weist. Weist. I can't remember her first name, but Victoria Weist. Something Weist. What's her name? Okay. Thank you, admin. Psycho-Cybernetics is by Maxwell Maltz. But the Mountain Is You was written by who? Something Weist. Brianna is her name. Brianna Weist. Fantastic book. And if you're gonna buy the Mountain Is You, yeah, that's the book. If you're gonna buy Brianna Weist, if you're gonna buy The Mountain Is You, I'd like to recommend that you also try and buy the audio version of the book. It's for a reason that the book is really deep. It's like therapy. The book is like therapy, but you don't get the therapeutic effect if you get the audio version. The audio version was so well done, so well narrated that it feels like therapy in your ear. That's what it feels like, right? It's so good, so good. So I'm a guy. I love the book. It's so good for therapy. But you have therapy and some transformation here and there. But the one for real radical transformation, mindset-wise, is the earlier one that I mentioned called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Right? Look. Just if you can just be faithful to the book, finish it, make your notes, study it. You'll bring testimonies. I don't recommend nonsense. You'll bring testimonies. It's fantastic. Psycho-Cybernetics. But again, I'll send you guys the list in a follow-up email if you registered. Right? If you register, please register for the series, and I'll email you guys those things. Yeah. So I was saying that the mindset that these people had, that made the system, and of course their descendants who took out after them to manage these institutions after they passed away, their mindset is very different from the average human being, the average Nigerian who just wants to eat for his family and be fine. All right, the mindset to pull that off is very different. All right, that's why I recommended mindset books. All right, now what is the mindset? All right, I've shared it before, but I'll share it again. They've realized that there are two ways to build wealth. Okay, and this will utilize the Hermetic law of correspondence. The Hermetic law of correspondence says, as above, so below. It says that the macrocosm corresponds to the microcosm, right? What it means is that Jesus explained a little bit of that when he said, what is bound on earth is bound in heaven, what is loose on earth is loose in heaven. So hermetically, they interpret that as above, so below, meaning whatever happens, whatever principle is being used in the physical, there's also a spiritual application of that. Conversely, whatever spiritual principle is being applied, there's a physical application of that. And I'll explain this to both the physical and the spiritual applications, all right? I wasn't explain them in multiple episodes, but in the way it's scattered over different issues. So what is let me start with the spiritual, all right? So with the spiritual, it comes down to, listen, on this earth, we are all what you might call alchemists, all right? Alchemy was the earliest predecessor to what we now know as chemistry, all right? And one thing that the alchemists were known for, what they prioritized, their main goal was to try to find a way to turn base metals into gold. Some believe it physically, some believe it was spiritual, right? But as alchemists, we are always trying to transmute between different energies, all right? And that is where we look at the energetic state of things, okay? I mean, look at every human being being born rich. Now, this I'm explaining is understood by people at the highest echelons of society. I'm not talking about people who are merely rich. There are some people who have cash money, who are rich, but are oblivious to the forces that bind, all right? I'm talking about people who are really, really powerful, not just rich. You know, money comes and goes. I'm talking about people who are really, really powerful and understand the way our civilization was built. They are highly spiritual people, but not the kind of spiritual that you understand, right? So they understand that every human being was born rich. Every human being was born rich and abundant, all right? However, they know that these human beings that are born rich do not have knowledge of how to transmute their spiritual wealth into physical wealth, understood? They don't know, all right? Like King David writing in the book of Psalms, that man in honor that knows not is like the beast that perish, right? All these humans, they're carrying all these energies that can be, in their latent form, those energies cannot really make you rich. You need to transmute them through a process to help you make wealth, all right? That is why even in the Old Testament it says, I will give you the power to make wealth. Not wealth itself, but you already have it. You just need to turn it into something. You need to be able to apply it. So what are these energies? In what form? All right? I like to call them the four currencies of life. MEAT, meat, money, energy, attention, and time, right? So we are all abundant with large amounts of energy, attention, and time. Most of the time, no money. And it's your job to figure out, how do I convert my energy, attention, and time to money? Now, you've got to have the defensive game first, because every human being, most human beings, their energies are leaking. So the defensive game, first of all, is to plug the leaks, all right? Where is my time going? Where is my energy going? Where is my attention going? Because most of the time, humans are carnal. That is, they are two-minded. They are only mindful of their carnal existence, their physical existence, all right? So they are only primed to value the things that exist in that carnal reality. So they don't value the things that they have in abundance in the physical, in the spiritual reality. They don't value their time, even though there are clues, even in our language. Words are magic. That's why it's called spelling. Language is magic. It's in our language, the wealth that we carry. Why do we say spend time? It is currency. Why do we say spend energy? Why do we say that we are spent when we are tired, right? Why do we say pay? Attention. Why? All right? These are clues to tell you that, right? And so what they do is to first of all plug the leaks. I can't be wasting my energy, attention, time. The only reason I have these is so that I can transmute them into money. All right? Now, what is the process of transmuting them into money? It's now going to connect to the physical aspect. Please remember, in talking about wealth and how the architects of our civilization understand wealth, I have to talk about it from the carnal angle and the spiritual angle. This is the spiritual angle. I'm going to come right back to it. All right? But they understand that I have to convert my energy, attention, and time into money. But through what process? Now we'll go to the physical. All right? What is the process? Now, when Adam Smith and John Locke and all those fathers of economics were thinking of wealth, they were like, okay, cool. We have to be able to sell something of value. All right? But then again, how do we acquire something of value? Well, in the olden days, it was not hard to acquire something of value. Just take your guns and go kill everybody that has all the money, and the money becomes yours. That's how wealth was built back in the old days. Warfare. You could just go conquer the old territory, and all that wealth belongs to you, kings, in those times, right? But those times are generally gone, right? You can't just do that, generally. But they realized that, okay, we need to find other ways of having something of value that we can sell for money. Okay, what does value mean? Because value, how do we decide what is valuable? All right, and so when deciding what is valuable, because you need to sell what is valuable to make money, we have to say, okay, let me see what constitutes value. Two things. It's got to be useful, that's one, and it's got to be scarce. Because if it is useful but not scarce, you cannot command a high fee for it. If it's useful, but anybody else can sell, it's going to crash the price. The laws of demand and supply. All right. When something when something has enormous supply, when it is bountiful or surplus in supply, the price goes down. All right. In order for the price to be high enough for you to make a tangible profit, it's got to be scarce. You have to be able to control its supply. All right. Now, what can you sell that is both useful and scarce? There's not a lot of things like that. The only way you can ensure its usefulness come scarcity is that you are the one that produces it yourself. For example, there is an abundance of timber, but maybe a scarcity in furniture, right? There's an abundance of sand, silica, but a scarcity of glass, all right? The production, your production capacity, productiveness, production is what guarantees that you're able to come out on the other end of the process with something that is both scarce and useful. Wood is bountiful. Okay, now, you say the chair that I'm selling is too expensive. All right, go into the forest and cut down a tree and make that tree into a chair. You can't do it. Therefore, even the raw material is plentiful, the end product is scarce. Therefore, because it's scarce, you can sell it for a high price. What did King Solomon say about this? He said, a slothful man, that is, a lazy man, does not roast that which he took in hunting, but the product or the produce, substance, but the substance of the diligent man is precious. It says the slothful man or the lazy man does not roast or process that raw meat that he took in hunting, but the substance, what the diligent man produces, the substance that the diligent man produces is precious, therefore commanding a higher price. What's it saying? It is that production activity, that you go through production. Either you are refining raw materials into finished products or you are creating something, that is production. So the only way to guarantee that you can get something of value, both scarce and useful, is that it has to go through the process of production. Okay, now they're still thinking, right? Now they're still thinking, okay, cool, we got it down pat. So how do we guarantee a perpetual state of production so that we can guarantee a perpetual state of wealth? Not money. No, the peasants want money. We are the rulers. We want wealth. It's the only way we know to live, right? So how do we ensure a perpetual state of production? Only because we know it's the only way to produce something of value, and that produces something of value is the only way that we can sell for high prices over and over again. That's the only reason we're producing stuff. If it was possible to turn water into gold, we would all do that, but they can't. they have to go through the production process. Okay, so how do we produce stuff? All right, this now connects to the spiritual I was talking about before. You see, every human being can be productive. The things you do every day to earn a living, those are what we call productivity. Okay, there are even apps called productivity apps that help you to stay in a perpetual state of production or productivity. They help you to produce something because that's the only way you're going to get paid, right? And when you are engaging in those acts of productivity, you are you are trading your spiritual currencies for money. You're trading your time, your energy, and sometimes your attention for money. That's what you do for your boss. You give him your time, you give him your energy, you give him your attention, and in return, you get money, right? Right. Now, that's how humans, little humans on their own, are able to stay productive. Right. Now, these people, the wealthy people, they don't think like the poor people, right? The poor people are only thinking about how to turn their own limited time, limited energy, limited attention into money. There is only so much money you can make with your own time, energy, and attention before you die. It is abundant, however, it is finite. It does not scale. The wealthy person understands this, but he also understands that the majority of people are like the people that King David was talking about. Man in honor that knows not. Therefore, they're like the beasts that perish, right? They arbitrage their time, energy, and attention for cheap because they don't know how to arbitrage it for more. They don't know the larger forces that control wealth. However, these alchemists, they understand it. So that is why when we're like, okay, how do we ensure the kind of production that creates wealth on an ongoing basis? And there they birthed the 4 factors of production. That is, what are the factors, the 4 factors that are necessary for producing the kind of merchandise or product that we can sell in exchange for wealth? What are the 4 factors? And they came up with these 4 factors. Land. Because we're going to be producing something, maybe at a factory or an oil installation, or we are starting up a school or something of that nature. We need to situate it somewhere. So maybe by doing agriculture, we need land. So number 1, they get land. Number 2 is labor. Remember all those human beings who have been trading their time, energy, and attention in exchange for money. Oh, they will make up the labor force. We need to get as many of these human beings who are willing to give us their time, energy, and attention for cheap to plug that sector so we can have a labor force. Next thing is capital. They know that in order to go into the battle of capitalism and have a fighting chance at winning, they need to be well funded because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's only the poor man that wants to go into that kind of battle and is asking, how can I start a business with no money? You don't get it. Right? So that's why we have land, we got labor, we got capital, and the last one, number 4, the last one is the head honcho himself, the entrepreneur. So the 4th factor of production is the entrepreneur. Now, what is his job? It is his job to wield these 3 earlier factors of production: the land, the laborers, and the capital. Wield them into productive activity and ensure that at the end of the day, business is profitable. Now, he's only able to do this because he is highly educated at the business of entrepreneurship. So he understands how to keep the laborers in line. We call that HR. He understands how to manage capital, or at least he understands how to manage the person that manages capital. That's the accountant. He understands how to go and impress investors to come and invest in the business. He understands the intellectual property, the unique mechanisms required to get that thing. He understands how to protect the business from intrusion, from people who want to steal industry secrets. He understands intellectual property law. He gets lawyers to protect his downside. And that's what the entrepreneur does. And the entrepreneur knows that me alone, there's only a small amount of wealth that I can generate when I'm banking on my own time, energy, attention, right? I'm going to get the time, energy, attention of thousands, of hundreds, thousands, and millions of people. And that is how wealth is made. I didn't say I did not invent it. The people who invented capitalism, they said so. The average Nigerian does not understand where money comes from. He understands where money came from before we were colonized, but he still does not understand where money now comes from, despite the fact that a foreign system has been imposed on the African continent, a system that is not native to us. Yes, we understand some level of trading and business, but not capitalism the way the West practices it. Well, no harm, no foul. We are here now. You have to institutionalize because the majority of y'all are in fields that are honestly disposable. And listen, I talked about this last week, all right? If you look at the book of Genesis, if you are biblically inclined in any way, right? If you look at the book of Genesis, when, the whole story about the fall of Adam and Eve and stuff, right? When he was cursing the ground, what did he say? He said, because of you said that the ground is cursed for your sake, all right? Through the sweat of your brow will it bring you a produce, right? So we meant that anyone who thought the ground was cursed, anyone who touches the ground is an endangered species, all right? But there are higher men who know that this ground is cursed. This ground does not provide stability. This ground does not provide income equality. No, I'm going to find a way to enjoy the produce from the ground without touching the ground. And that's why the entrepreneur, the 4th factor of production, always ensures that labor is well filled, because that is where you keep on getting new influxes of time, energy, and attention that are not yours. Of course, you pay them what you think their time, which can negotiate for that, but you don't feel like you're able to put them to work in a way that makes you even more money and also, of course, enhances shareholder value. So, my dear graphics designer in Nigeria, do you really think that your graphic design places you on a path to wealth? Or are you just fooling yourself? Don't get me wrong, I've been talking about graphic designers not doing graphic design, even while I needed graphic designers. So I know, of course, that I'm somewhat harming my own self-interest. Right? I've been talking about barbers, even while rocking some of the best haircuts. I need barbers to touch my hair, but I know that, bro, even though I love the service you're doing, this thing will not make you rich in this country. It won't. It's not going to make you rich. So, what are you thinking? It's not about being rich, right? It's also about the other things that you need to get done as a human being in this society. What do you do? I'm a barber. You have less leverage with that sort of introduction. As human beings, it's in our nature to expand, to want to expand and conquer new terrains. And a lot of that expansion depends on the cooperation of other human beings. The colonizers understand that. There's only Nigerians that are like, why don't anybody? Who told you anybody? Who told you that? You need people. A lot of that expansion you're looking for will depend on the conscious cooperation of other people who also will be working with enlightened self-interest. They've got to see the point in teaming up with you or in helping you. You've got to help each other. And when you say that, I'm a barber, that's labor. That's labor, right? If you say you own a beauty salon or a chain of beauty salons, now we're talking. Again, that's a very big example. They jump from a barber holding clipper to actually owning his own thing. It's quite a stretch, okay? I need to take a lot of finances and stuff. I get it. I'm just using those wild examples, first of all, to set your mind somewhere, all right? So When you want to institutionalize, right? When you want to institutionalize, what you got to do, when you want to institutionalize, what you got to do is imagine, right? I know most of you are doing freelance, but imagine that you work for an institution, right? Just imagine, this is a very easy way to institutionalize. Imagine that you work for an institution, a company. You're as a graphic designer, whatever you do, makeup, nail tech, lashes, whatever it is. Imagine that you did that for a company. Yeah? What does your boss do? Yeah. That's what you should be looking at. Not the only thing, but that's one example. What does your boss do? I remember I was telling you guys that we're doing remote work back, I think 2020. I think the pandemic really accelerated remote work, but now they could harvest a lot of energies remotely. And a lot of Nigerians are doing those things. Now they're firing everybody. But anyway, one thing I asked you guys was I'm not saying tell you guys to resign or leave your remote work, but as a step towards the next thing, the next couple of jobs that you get on that remote work, maybe you were asked to design a website or this or that, always write down the person that charged me to do this job, what do they do? All right, just write it down, journal it somewhere for like the next 10 jobs. You guys have no idea. You're sitting on a gold mine because you are getting money-making ideas every day. You think it's just hiring, freelancing. No. You are sitting on a gold mine because people are coming to you to hire you and they're telling you what they do for a living. That is making them money because that's how they are going to pay you. So by the time they told you for like 5 times to 10 times, 5 to 10 times, you would have found something on that list that you'd be like, this one looks more suited to my capabilities, or it looks like something I can retrain for. That's how you do it. You have to be someone who can see the entire value chain of the service that you're providing. If you're a graphic designer, you are providing graphics for someone who runs a particular business. That business doesn't have 10 heads. Do you think you cannot learn how that business works too and upskill to it? Listen, I'm telling you guys this as someone who once was a website designer. I know what it's like. I was a website designer. I had to use website design to make a living. As small as it was, I had to manage it, but I did not lie to myself that this thing would make me rich. I knew it would not. And I was always on the lookout. When I would go to church then and to church prayer meetings, that was back in 2011, 2012, my prayer would be, I want ideas for the next thing. This thing is just for bread and butter for today. It's not going to give me the life I have imagined. It's not. I know it's not. I'm not going to lie to myself, man. This is not going to give me it. I don't know a single web designer, right? And I'm saying as a then, maybe there are a couple that may do well, exceptions to the rule. But back then, I don't know a single rich one, especially in Nigeria. And I'm like, hey, it's unlikely to make me rich. I want the next best thing. So when the next thing came and presented itself, bruh, I was straight out the door. As knowledge began to come, I began to learn the other complementary skills I needed to have in order to break out of that income bracket. Did it work for me? Hell yeah, it did. It worked for me and it'll work for you too, right? So there's a lot of things you can do. If you're a barber, where do all these other barbers get their clippers? See, one shortcut is that whatever it is that you do, what do all your colleagues that do the same thing need that you can supply? That is one way you can think. What do they all need that you can supply? It's not everything you are passionate about that you have to go and touch in its raw form. The person that created Canva that is worth probably billions now, she was passionate about graphic design. But her thinking as an architect of civilization was to create software, not to go and change her bio and say graphic design. How much do you make? How much would you make? What schools do your kids go to? What quality of life are you going to have? What? What? So you're doing this for 2 things, right? You're doing this for income, you're doing this for status. Nigeria is a status-sensitive society. I don't like it, but that's the way it is. And you have to learn early that it is important for you to optimize for status as well, all right? It's got to be something that is respectable, all right? Something that is respectable. Again, some of you just accepted the lie that school was a scam, but if you studied anything engineering, you should be fine. Petrochemicals, civil, you can create your own thing or work for somebody else. You'll still do very well. People I'm talking to right now are those that just started doing hustles and somebody likes them that go to bless them in the hustle. It's not going to happen, my bro. It's not going to happen, all right? You've got to institutionalize. You've got to learn higher skills, all right? And let me tell you, one of the reasons that some of you remain as freelancers is not because you really have done the analysis and have realized that freelance is a noble way to live or that it makes you money. It's because there's some personality traits that the higher way requires that you're not willing to train in yourself. Some of you are not polished at all. You don't know how to talk to customers. You don't know how to speak in corporate speak, and so just hiding behind freelancer.com or fiverr.com is a way to mask your inadequacies. But should you be masking your inadequacies or should you be working on them to become better? All right? When you are institutionalizing, it means that you are taking on the full role of the 4th factor of production, and that is the human being, the entrepreneur. You are stepping out of the laborer category and stepping up to the entrepreneur category, where you now give work to other laborers, and you learn the game of getting people productive. You learn how to delegate tasks. You learn how to hire people. You learn how to negotiate their wages the same way that your wage was once negotiated with you. Now you got to learn how to do that with other people. You learn how to incentivize them as they do out there, enough to keep them there. All right, not too little so they don't leave. Learn how to retain talent. All right, you got to learn, okay, how do I scale my operations? I might have to do a fundraise. How do I do a fundraise? Oh shoot, I can't just do a random fundraise. I need to be in a circle of people who typically give out money. What does that mean? Oh man, I need to learn how to dress better. Yeah, I'm going to dress better and go network with these people and speak well and look well, and I show them my results, and maybe they might want to invest. I might need to go to a finishing school. 90% of y'all watching me probably need to go to a finishing school. Yeah, I think the most popular one in Nigeria or in Lagos is Poise. I spoke at their event one time, 2015, I think. Right, go to a finishing school, right? Go and learn how people present themselves. Learn the difference between this kind of attire and that kind of attire. Wearing hoodie and jeans is not going to pay you in Nigeria, my brother. I know you have looked at those false pictures of Mark Zuckerberg. You are not Mark Zuckerberg, my brother. You're not him. You're not him. Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard, right? You barely made it out of Ado Ekiti, all right? So you're not that guy. The rules that apply to you may not apply to him, all right? Be honest about your situation and do what you got to do. Yeah, some of you, you're just right there in the background because you're stubborn. You don't want to wear the uniform of your industry. No problem, my nigga. Do it your way. Do it your way. do it your way. After one of my sessions the other day, right? Somebody posted on Facebook. I haven't heard on Facebook these days, except maybe somebody mentions me on something. Somebody mentioned me on something after night school, was praising how night school was cool and all that. And then somebody else was in the comments saying, normally I don't really give a shit about hearing what you guys think. The reason I hate Facebook and all these platforms is that they somehow make audience members think that they're more important than they actually are. See somebody who has no credentials in life come and type, I disagree. I don't care, man. I really don't want to hear what you think. Please. Listen, I'm too busy for this shit. I want to just say what I have to say and teach. We don't have to babysit the damn comments, right? When your pastor is in your church preaching a message, even if you disagree, you don't fucking raise your hand and say, no, this is my point of view. Your pastor does not care about your point of view. That's the reason you're in the fucking congregation. I don't want to know what you think, bro. If I wanted to know what you think, I'm going to look for your YouTube channel or your school to sit down and learn at your feet. No, this is one-way traffic. I don't want to know what you think. I want to be done with this and go back to my work. But anyway, someone put it out there, but you put in the comments, oh, yeah, the way I disagree with him is, bro, you don't have the credentials to fucking disagree. I feel so dirty that I have to even see your comment. I wish I never got to see it, but hey, that's social media for you. I said, why I don't disagree is that I said that you have to wear suits. If you don't wear suits, you become successful. You fucking uneducated person. Is that what I said? I said you have to wear the uniform of your industry. Because humans cannot help themselves. They will shout from the bottom, from the mountaintop, don't judge a book by its cover, but they will judge you by your cover because they cannot help themselves. There is a way that, listen, I'm not wearing a suit in front of you right now because I think it's fashionable to wear a suit at this time of the night. I know that you cannot help yourself. That if I came here in an ordinary t-shirt and my hair scattered and maybe look, it's very pointless that I'm wearing a watch. Why the hell am I wearing a watch? It's because I know you can't help yourself. I know you wish you were higher than the way the average human is, but you're not. And it's okay. I need to influence you to take what I'm saying seriously. So I have to look a certain way. That's okay. I don't like it, but it's okay. That's what we have to do sometimes to be successful in this world. The Apostle Paul said, I have learned to be all things to all men. If you read that verse, it breaks it down, right? It breaks it down. It says, listen, I've learned to be all things to all men. But it says, to those that are with law, I have learned to become as one without law. To those with law, I have learned to become as one with law. So that hope, maybe I might win some. You've got to look the part. And some of you are so stubborn. You don't want to look the part, all right? Some of you, the women folk, again, when talking to women, right, I've made it clear who my constituency is, all right? I'm talking to church girls, not Canaanite and Philistine women. They cannot be reasoned with. They are not my target audience. All right. My problem, however, with your church girls is that I've realized that your church girls have started to envy the Canaanite women. I've noticed that shift because you're now starting to dress the same way. You're starting to mark your body the same way, dress the same way, show your body the same way, and look and talk as unsophisticated as they do. Right? I don't know where the heck that came from, but sort it out. Now, a lot of y'all, most of y'all aspire for greatness, but you're stubborn. You don't want to wear the uniform of that industry. The reason you are where you are, some of you, is that you want to keep on dressing the way you want to dress and still have what is reserved for people that customize their lives for sovereignty. Are you a thief? It won't happen. It won't happen. Oh, I feel more comfortable in jeans. All right, baby. Feel more comfortable being poor. Right, and you know what people think? Poor people, right now, they are searching in their undernourished minds. They are searching for that one exception to the rules. So they can say, hey, there's one person I know. Nigeria will whip the shit out of you if you don't do it yourself. You've got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined. Your nails have to be a certain way. You can't be putting nails like Cardi B. Are you Cardi B? Are you Nicki Minaj? And you want to excel in corporate? You want cosmetics more seriously? You look for a business meeting, you're dressing like a baddie. What demon has taken over you? And the reason I'm harder on your women, I told you I'm harder on you. I think maybe my third episode. Is that the demons of this world have convinced you women that time is on your side. Time is not on your side. You know it. You know how you age. Time is on your side. You don't have time to mess up. You don't have time. It applies to both genders. But you see, men, life is a bit gracious to men. A little bit more, because again, life is harder on men in certain ways. When it comes to this aspect, life is a bit more gracious. A man can be a fool at 40, at 50. If at the age of 50, yeah, I told you guys before, a man can be a fool all his life. If as long as he does not commit the cardinal sins, there are some cardinal sins that you cannot come back from. I'll tell you guys that one. As long as you avoid those cardinal sins, whether it is those cardinal sins like sexual assault or pedophilia or murder, what else? I don't think there are any cardinal sins beyond these three that nobody, I think those are the three cardinal sins that if you just do that one, you have ended your life as a man, you have ended. All right. Or anything else, you can be a drunkard, you can be if at the age of 50, maybe just the way Saul of Tarsus became Paul, right? He just has an encounter one day. And he just looks like the prodigal son. Looks like I have been a fool all my life. You know how much it takes to come to that point of realization? It's humility, a lot of humility. If at that age, no matter what he says, man, I have been a fool all my life. No, it wasn't all those people's faults that I'm where I am today. It was my fault. I have messed up. Oh man, I have been a bastard. And I have come to a point of repentance. And he truly repents. Not fake one, no. Not Aguero moment, repentance. He goes to genuine repentance and begins to do all the right things. He begins to move with the right people and, stay away from the wrong crowd, cut off all his bad habits, and truly begins the process of regenerating his spirit. Submits to proper authority. Not that my own person. No. He now humbles himself. And sees how foolish his way of life has been. He humbles himself, submits to authority. Do you know that man can get back on his feet? At that age, he can find a decent girl to marry and still raise a family, despite everything. At that age, he will still raise a family. He can still be a role model in society. That's happened. Why? At the age of 50, he can still start having children afresh. From afresh, he can start. It's not easy because again, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of soul work, but it can be done. You want to deceive yourself that a woman can do the same thing? No, you cannot. There's some mistakes you just cannot come back from, my dear. You just can't. And that is why I'm harder on you. Like, come on. Who has bewitched you? What was hypnotizing you and making you misbehave? You have just this small window. This small window to strike at the heart of your craft and, make a dent in the world, and you wasted doing nonsense. You wasted being seduced by the antics of not even the best of the West, but the worst of the West, You'll never see Nigerian women that copy the best of the Americans. It's the ratchet Americans that they copy. It's the ratchet ones that they want to be like. You didn't see the ones that, the Maya Angelus, so you can talk like her, you hear the way she speaks, and no, it's Cardi B. It's not nice. I don't know what's with you, bro. Sis. But anyway, I just went on a bit of a rant there, but you gotta get your shit together, man. You gotta get your shit together. Even if you want to spoil yourself, Nigeria's the worst place to spoil. Not here, for this country, you want to spoil this place. Anyway, rant over. Factors of production, right? This country, you mess up with your window of fertility, it ain't coming back, my dear. It's not coming back. It's gone. I wish I didn't have to say all this rubbish. It's your mother's job to tell you all these things. You guys are just so terrible. Your mom doesn't want to talk to you. Your mom just raised you and left you to the world. She ain't telling you this shit, but it's her job to tell you. There's some things that are not very sweet to see outside, but it's your mom's job to tell you inside. To tell you how to move in this world, how to date. how to get work, how to move around, how to put out for a good impression of yourself so that you can improve your circumstances. It's just being out there being mentored by rappers and TikTokers and Jarvis. Oh boy. All right. So, stepping into that role as an entrepreneur. Now, in doing that, you will have to cut certain things off. What got you here won't get you there. Because we're not here under some grand illusion that, you're just where you are because, the economy. See, Nigeria has its own issues, has its own evils, has its own issues, but there's some that are a you problem. Because you don't want to change. Somebody once said people are so eager to change the world, but unwilling to change themselves. And I told you, there was once a time I didn't like wearing suits. I didn't like wearing suits. Hoodie and jeans. Some of you remember me from that era, many years ago. But when I saw what I wanted very clearly, I changed. I said, that's a small price to pay just to change this thing. It's a small price to pay, I will do it. All right? Some things you have to change. Some ways of thinking, some ways of doing business, right? I remember many years ago, when I used to post, my issue posting on Facebook is that there are too many vagabonds on Facebook, and I hate vagabonds judging my post and typing their stupid responses. I don't want to see it. That's why I like WhatsApp channels. I can just type my thing there, and you read it and go about your day. I didn't ask you your thoughts. I did not ask you. I don't want to know what you think, right? Some of you that are a bit close to me, send me your thoughts, and I appreciate that. But I'm not asking the mass market. So to come and think, so what do you now think? Hit the comments. Tell me what you think. I honestly, brother, I don't want to know what you think. Your mind is not the place I want to be in. I don't want to see it. I have what I have to say. That's what it is. If you disagree, you can follow me. That's fine. But if you want to learn from me, learn. I don't want to see it. I posted what I was in. I was trying to get, that was 2016 or so. And I'm like, listen, you all got to grow up and stop having your meetings in Mr. Biggs. All people, and then full Facebook, and they just believe that they're right. One man's arrogance is phenomenal. Like, he just believes he has an object that the rich man doesn't know that he's better. I don't get it. But I remember one of my most viral posts back then, it was about, the title was something about up-level your life or something. The title was about up-leveling your life. And I said, listen, especially in the city of Lagos, some of you all don't know that you don't need to pay money to go to a hotel lobby. Yes, you will need to pay to order something, but being there, there's no cost of entry. It's just your self-esteem. And I said that one of the things you can do I remember now it was called Hack Your Mind. That's the post, Hack Your Mind. One thing you can do to hack your mind, because one of the most debilitating effects of Nigerian poverty is that because, of how poverty manifests itself in Nigeria, you must have been abused growing up. Even if not physically, at least emotionally, because there are so many predators in the Nigerian society. Their default response to weakness is to take advantage, right? And so when you've lived poor for so long, you're not very used to people being nice to you non-conditionally. You're not very used to it. And you need to start getting used to it, right? And one of such places is that you've got to change the vibrations, right, of the places that you frequent, right? So we're having a meeting, we're going to an eatery. What eatery? No, that's where poor people go, all right? Now, you may not have leveled up economically, but you've got to do it in your mind first. You don't go to that place. Don't go to a place where the vibrations are full of those kinds of energies. Don't go to a place where people are so terribly underpaid and so they're living on low frequencies. No, go to a hotel lobby, right? Dress well. They will not be able to tell that you're coming from the other end of town. And even if they can tell, they can't do anything about it. They can't legally do anything about it, right? So I said, dress well. I'll explain something about what's wrong with you peasants, get the fuck out of my comments. You all piss me off sometimes. I don't want to know what you think. Don't you get it? Shit. Anyway, what I was saying to those who are willing to learn was that don't do that anymore. First of all, you need to be seen better. Second of all, there's a process you need to re-engineer in your mind. And here's the process. When you go to a proper hotel lobby, right, there are a number of good ones. If you're on the island, go to 4 Points, right? If you can go have breakfast or lunch there, that'll be cool. But if you cannot, at least they always have a lobby where you can order stuff around the clock. Order a coffee or tea and maybe a dessert there and just sit there. Or if you're on the mainland, Ikeja, Marriott, perfect. The thing is that there's something in you that is shaking. Yes, walking through those doors will defeat that demon once and for all. That's what I was trying to teach you. Okay? Walk through those doors. Walk in. But dress well. Listen, I've told you guys my history. Listen, I used to be that person many years ago. I didn't know how to dress. But I did not want that deficiency to rule my life. I paid attention. Listen, before dressing up to go, I was 2014, 2015. Yeah, no, 2014. 2014. I know 2014, but 2015, I got help in the fashion department. Amen. Moving on. From 2014 and earlier, before going out, I would go to Google image search. And just type out stuff now, see what other people are wearing. I'll look at it. That's how I started learning how to put something decent together. Right? That's how I learned. So, and to go out somewhere, I haven't told you guys last week about my story with my friend Inka, right? That's where I was coming from. But I did not want this to hinder me. I would learn what to wear, and then I would put myself together, go to such a place, go to Marriott, walk in there. Nobody knows unless you show it. Nobody knows that you're not lodged there. Again, don't be like the Canaanites that likes to lie and will just no. It's just an exercise you do. Like, walk in there. You don't even need to go with your laptop, so nobody like saying, "Won't use your electricity." Don't go with a tablet, right? Like, some swag in your walk different. Some swag in your step. Go use your tab. Just walk in. Be at ease, be polite to everyone. Hello, good afternoon, speak well, and have them speak well back to you. Have people that are well trained in customer service. Let them serve you. How does it feel? How do you feel? It's a different vibration it starts to have in your chest, in your mind. Do it as constantly as you can. Don't go and pack yourself in like a but no, just you alone or you and one person. Just like that. You do it. Then your vibration starts to change. You start having a different feeling. You look around and you see how people in this environment are not so hurried. It's a different vibe to them. Interesting. This is not a frequency thing, huh? See how we're going. You're in that environment all the time. Maybe once in a while, you strike up a conversation with someone there, and you learn something new because people who typically lodge there, they are so versatile. They're exposed. Like, you want to be the best Nigerians. There are very few, but where they will all be concentrated at the same time. They're typically in those environments. Yeah, there are spots like that. Somebody mentioned Sigusta. Sigusta is one. There's always Sigusta was my favorite place back when I was still in Lagos. Sigusta was my favorite places. There's this place again on Ozumba in Badiwe. It's a coffee shop, but that coffee shop it tends to attract some of the best Nigerians. The smartest, the most creative, the most refined. I can't remember the name, but it has a water view on the other end. Some people may know it. There's Ozumba in Badiwe. It's a coffee shop. There's some offices in that whole complex. It's close to Civic Center. Anyway. You move to those places and all that, start to change. Just moving in there, you have to change the way that you dress. You be conscious of certain things like the way that you smell. No shade to anybody. No shade. Some of us, you have to learn these things in some way, right? If you don't learn it just out there, you have to, change the way you smell. After you've been in a place that someone smells a certain way, you want to know how to replicate that, right? Because you didn't learn it where you were coming from. You want to learn it somehow. And your level is to change. You start to see how bosses organize. And something that seems so far away from you before, it starts to look like, I can do this actually. Why have I been depriving myself of this experience all this time? I feel this thing, I feel this thing, Yeah. For some of you who maybe you travel in Nigeria, you travel by air, but you can't travel. Maybe you're not able to travel business class yet. You travel economy, right? That's fine. But you can pay a small token to be in the lounge where business class people stay. Just a small thing. You go your economy, but you just go to the lounge, sit down there. Observe how people there are very different from people where you are coming from. When people say, someone said Eric Kesia is a good. Thank you, the farmer. That's the Wings Complex. What I was talking about. Yes, Wings Complex. Don't remember the name of the exact coffee shop. But it's in the Wings Complex. Thank you. It's been a while, but yes, that's it. It has a water view on the other end. Lovely coffee shop, Wi-Fi, everything, lovely view, lovely people. But what's the name? But the Wings Complex. Thank you. Yeah. And you do that, your mind begins to change. All right, that's what is it? Renewing the mind. Those, and then there people ask you, "Hello, sir." And some of you, as mature as you are, nobody's ever called you sir in your life. When you get called sir, it hits you different. I mean, of course, you don't show it, but inside, it feels good. It feels good to be respected. Non-conditionally. Because generally, Nigeria is not the kind of place where people just respect you non-conditionally. It's not a good thing, but that's just the way it is, right? My coffee, Akugo, so good to see you. My dearest Akugo, so good to see you. Long time no see, so good to see you here. That's the place. It's called My Coffee inside the Wings Complex on Ozumai, by the way. So I've been an advert for them, even though it's been like at least 5 years since I've been there. It's been years. When I was still in Nigeria, I used to always go there. Awesome people there, yes, that's not the place. The one I would know that someone is doing an ad for them. Yeah, they never called you sir before, but you just, they call you, "Hello sir, what do you have?" And it's just politely, "Okay, would you like anything else?" "No, thank you." You're learning the practical applications of please and thank you for the first time in your life. Don't you feel better here than by the time you go back to wherever you're coming from, whether Shomolu or Bega, or what's that place? You get this place, whatever sponsor you're from, Ikorodu. When you Ikorodu, brother, come, let me answer you. Let me give you grace for Ikoyi. Come here, let me answer you. Receive grace for Ikoyi. Yeah. Anyway, but let me get back to wherever you're coming from. See, the memory of how well that day went will haunt you. It will haunt you. You can't remain the same again. Can't. Yeah. So that's that. Be not conformed to the hypnotism of this world, the lower world, the lesser world, but be transformed by people. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There's some of you who feel slighted when your friend speaks better grammar than you. Why? Where's that demon coming from? Where did that demon come from? So you're only around people who are on your level of education. How will you level up? How you gonna level up? Moving into new circles it can be intimidating, especially given where you're coming from, some of you. But be humble. You will gain so much from it. You get to feel how we talk about Lagos. People are so this, people are so that. See, I've met some of the best people in my life in that same Lagos. They exist, but you see, your walls are so different. You can live all your life in Lagos and not meet those people. I'm telling you. Like the place where those people are, how they behave, how they move. They are people in Lagos that are very safe people. They are very sophisticated. They are kind. They are well mannered, well brought up, and they exist in that same Lagos where you have the raccoons. But because you insist on being the way you are, you can never prosper. It's never. You can't. It's a typical tale of two cities. Right? So anyway, those are the mindset shifts that have to happen, right? And some of you, and I gave you guys this update last week, like some of you may need to go for further education, like proper institutional education. And this looks differently for everybody, depending on what you're doing. Like if you're a makeup artist, if you are, like those of you who are trying to do your reinvention, right? If you're a makeup artist, you're a nail tech, lash tech, whatever, just try, find money, go Lagos Business School, right? If you are into all these services, find money and go to Lagos Business School. Save. All the money you are making from your lash tech, nail tech, makeup and all that is not for you to come and turn up with the girls. Your fellow broke girls, it's not for you to turn up with the girls on the weekend. Save your money. Those of you that managed to trap one Odogu that's giving you money, don't buy any fucking bag with the money. Save the money. It's for Lagos Business School. You want to be spending money, you don't have to impress people you don't even like. So you can put on social media, and you're like, Jesus Christ, people have been so bewitched. Wallahi. You've been bewitched into a way of behavior that will not support you in any way. If you want to do not work out, now what happens to your life? Anything can. All the money is giving you like this, just be saving it. No spend shit. Just be saving it. Not like just go send yourself to business school. Again, it depends on the person. He might be even willing to. But some of you, the ask that you are asking, you're not even asking, I want to do this course. You are saying, I want to go to Dubai. Guinea go Dubai. Guinea go Dubai. Who are your parents? No, seriously. You people, now they fall my hand. Tell them to bring the money that you want to go to Lagos Business School. Don't go to any other business school in Lagos. Don't. Just go to Lagos. Our people say if you want to eat a frog, at least eat a big one. Don't do anything virtual. Don't do anything virtual, anything online. I know this